Coming up on today's episode of Airborne-Unlimited, GAMA sees 3.6% rise in aircraft shipments. IRS ramping up bizjet audits. Sergey Brin of Google sees wrongful death suit. Welcome to Airborne Unlimited. I'm your host, Holland Lee. Let's get into today's stories. GAMA sees 3.6% rise in aircraft shipments. The General Aviation Manufacturers Association showed that business is doing all right, with all aircraft segments seeing a modest 3.6% increase in shipments over 2022. Overall, the biggest winners were surprisingly piston aircraft at an 11.8% increase over 2022. The runners-up were turbine helicopters and turboprop fixed-wing aircraft, training at 10.4% and 9.6% increases, respectively. Overall, a 3.6% industry-wide increase isn't quite bad, but not really impressive after the eye-popping bull run seen in other years. Last year, 2022 was reported to boast a 6% increase over the previous year, and 2021 an even better 10.2% increase over the seesaw year of 2020. Given that momentary surge, it may be for the best that the industry throttles back into more steady, consistent growth. Suppliers and materials manufacturers would certainly prefer that things become more even-keeled. Even years after the onslaught of supply chain woes, their after-effects continue to be felt. Overall, GAMA seems pretty upbeat about the industry's state today, calling attention to lengthy order books and relative preparedness of the U.S. domestic base as a whole. And after the break, Air Canada forced to honor AI chatbots' promises.
Flying is my entire life. It's all that I've ever known. I've relied on Hartzell propellers since about 1995. Hartzell means much more than a propeller. It's a relationship. When you hear the phrase built on honor, they care about us as pilots, they care about our community, and they care about the product they build. It's such a proud honor to fly behind that propeller.
Welcome back. Now let's take a trip around the patch for some shorter stories. Air Canada forced to honor AI chatbots' promises. Air Canada found out the hidden costs of entrusting its customer service to a bright but maybe not too intelligent AI assistant when a court found they remained liable for the virtual employee's promises. A passenger researching the carrier's bereavement travel policies used the Air Canada customer service chatbot, an artificially intelligent large language model that's currently in vogue. The agent sent Jake Moffat to a landing page outlining the carrier's policies, but failed to accurately convey them when he inquired about the ticketing process. United States Parachute Association issues clarion call. The United States Parachute Association is asking members to act on proposed congressional action on the upcoming FAA reauthorization, specifically the section titled the, quote, Air Tour and Sport Parachuting Safety Act, end quote. And they aren't the only ones. Earlier this month, a bevy of GA groups signed a letter opposing the section of the bill, warning of the dangers it poses to small aviation businesses across the country. One friend of the industry, Senator Budd of North Carolina, put out an amendment to strike the offending language from the bill, but it was unsuccessful. JetBlue pilots stuck playing catch-up on contract negotiations. JetBlue Airways pilots have, quote, announced their renewed focus on negotiating a standalone collective bargaining agreement with the company, end quote. The carrier recently swung for a $3.8 billion acquisition of Spirit Airlines and whiffed the ball in court where the deal was shut down on antitrust grounds. For now, a pin has been put in that appeal that will see things advance this summer. But for now, JetBlue pilots worry about uncertainties throughout the carrier. Gulfstream announces new city pair records. Gulfstream arrived at the Singapore Air Show with 50 city pair speed records under its wing, making a trip of 5,197 nautical miles in 10 hours 13 minutes using a brand new G700. The trip began in Los Angeles, California to Nice, France in the first leg at an average speed of 0.9 Mach. Then Gulfstream did it again, heading from Nice to Singapore for a 5,754 nautical mile trip in 11 hours 30 minutes at the same speed. That made its 51st speed record for the mark. That's it for today's trip around the patch. Let's get back to the rest of the news. IRS ramping up BizJet audits. The IRS will begin ramping up scrutiny on the use of corporate jets for flight departments around the country, hammering those who allegedly use their official corporate aircraft for decidedly non-corporate travel, no matter what additional damage may result. The move comes courtesy of increased funding for the regulator, who will soon conduct somewhere around 3 to 4 dozen audits of companies and operators. The audits specifically aim to suss out any of those fun non-business voyages claimed as a necessary business deduction. It's an easy political target to make, going after the haves in such a high-profile, successful niche. Nobody will spare too many tears over the hypothetical fat cats jetting out to Nice on the company jet in an election year, and it helps assuage fears that the IRS won't be using its budget increase to hunt down the middle class. IRS Commissioner Danny Werfel said, quote, during tax season, millions of people are doing the right thing by filing and paying their taxes, and they should have confidence that everyone is also following the law. Personal use of corporate jets and other aircraft by executives and others have tax implications, and it's a complex area where IRS work has been stretched thin. With expanded resource, IRS work in this area will take off, end quote. And after these messages, Sergey Brin of Google sees wrongful death suit.
For over 30 years, the massive Sport Plane Resource Guide has provided expert, credible information, evaluations, and critical analysis of all that the sport aviation world has to offer. The all-new digital Sport Plane Resource Guide is coming with extensive multimedia features that are constantly updated. An even more comprehensive online guide to all things sport aviation. Available soon. www.sportplane.com.
Well, hello, fellow pilot. I'm John King.
And I'm Martha King.
You know, we've all had our flying lives disrupted lately.
Well, King Schools is here to help you stay up to date with courses that you can access on your desktop, iPad, or iPhone. If you'd like a refresher or just want to expand your aviation horizons, we have a course for you.
So head over to kingschools.com/Rusty today for details.
Welcome back. Sergey Brin of Google sees wrongful death suit. A widow of one deceased pilot aboard Google co-founder Sergey Brin's DHC-6 Twin Otter has sued, citing his co-owner's approval for an allegedly improperly installed auxiliary fuel system. The suit describes a series of events wherein the short-legged Twin Otter hampered plans to fly the floaty-cooked plane all the way to Fiji, where Brin and co-owners wanted to station it for a time. In order to extend its range, the ownership authorized the installation of an auxiliary fuel setup to bolster available fuel on board. The suit alleges that the mechanic who did the work did not reference an assembly checklist and installed the system from memory of previous work. The end result was a bone-dry fuel system in cruise, resulting in a fatal crash to all aboard. Brin is one of the co-defendants listed in the lawsuit. Additionally, the widow's suit paints a picture of defendants reticent to actually go through with the recovery process, alleging that Brin and company were content to blame weather delays or NOAA blockages, the subtext being that they weren't at all eager to see any evidence dredged up from the deep. The assertion is backed by the NOAA's denial that it had impeded the investigation at all, despite Brin's reps conveying the idea that they had impeded timely recovery. And that's our show for today. You can catch episodes of Airborne on YouTube, Roku, or Fire TV. Just search for Aero-News or Airborne, and don't forget to follow us on social media. Thanks for watching!